Plate after plate was emptied, and Sally began to yawn over and over again, rubbing her eyes with her hands. Her mother smiled, looking over and reaching out to gently rub her back. "Looks like someone is tired. Time for bed?" Sally nodded. "Yes, Mama," and hopped off her seat, picking up her plate and carrying it to the sink. Her mother rose up to take her to bed, but stopped when John grabbed a hold of her arm. "I'll take her to bed," he smiled, earning one in return. "All right, thank you, John." The man nodded, watching the woman make her way to clean the dishes and put up any leftovers. Then looked to see his brother leave for the bathroom to wash up before following after the young girl to her room. John smiled and closed the door behind him, watching the girl rummage around through her dresser for pajamas to wear. "Do you need any help?" he asked, watching the girl look up and nod. "Okay, let's see what you got." The man waltzed up alongside her and began looking through her various pajamas. "Let's see. You've got some strawberry printed ones. I bet you'll smell just like them in your dreams." He took the shirt up and showed her, giving it a few deep inhales. Sally giggled and shook her head, indicating she didn't want to wear her strawberry pajamas. Johnny nodded and placed the shirt back in the dresser, then pulled out another shirt with a unicorn on it this time. "How about this one? Bet you'll ride on Miss Unicorn here." Again the child giggled and shook her head no. The man let out a soft huff before placing it back down, then took out a regular white nightgown. "How about this? Be able to turn into a princess with this." Sally's eyes lit up and she clapped her hands excitedly and nodded. Placing the gown on her bed, he reached over to her and began to unbutton her shirt. "I can get undressed, Uncle," she said with a smile, looking down at his hands on her shirt. The man smiled back and nodded, continuing to work his way down her shirt. "I bet you can, but you're tired, so why not have some help?" he asked, watching Sally nod a few times. Once getting her shirt unbuttoned, he slipped it off her shoulders and gave her tummy a poke, making her giggle again. He grinned and took a hold of the rim of her shorts, pulled them down. Finally, the man grabbed a hold of her nightgown and pushed the opening over her head, making sure her arms could go through the sleeves. "All done," he said, watching the girl smile and giggle while she bounced on top of her bed. Johnny rose up, picked up her clothes. The door opened up, and in walked Sally's mother, coming in to tuck her in. "You ready for bed?" she asked, walking around the bed. Johnny looked up and hurried over to the other side of the bed. "I'll tuck her in. Is that okay?" Marie looked up at him and smiled, shaking her head. "Of course." She looked down at her daughter and leaned in, kissing the girl on her forehead. "Good night, sweetheart." "Good night, Mama." Giving the girl a gentle rub with her thumb on her forehead, the woman took the clothes Johnny had and made her way out of the room. Johnny smiled to the mother and walked over to the light switch, flicking it off. He carefully closed the door to her room and locked it. Slowly, he looked over his shoulder towards Sally. Johnny now wore a chilling, crooked smile. After the next few days, Marie noticed that Sally wasn't acting herself. She wasn't smiling as brightly as she did. She wasn't chipper and didn't speak with the same amount of happiness. Marie took hold of the child's hand before she left to play with her friends and took her aside. Sally looked up at her mother with a confused look. "Honey, are you feeling okay?" she asked, kneeling down to be at the child's height. Sally stared at her and slowly began to weep. Her mother widened her eyes in confusion. "Sally? Mama, I didn't want to," the girl managed to say through hiccuping sobs.